So I took lots of recreational drugs during the 90s, and I'm not afraid to admit that. Psychedelics have, I guess, psychedelics are part of my learning over the last 14, 15 months. What happened with psychedelics? So my background growing up, I grew up in the 90s. I love hard house. I still love hard house. And I partied very hard. So I took lots of recreational drugs during the 90s. And I'm not afraid to admit that. Um, and I've spoken very openly about my challenges with sobriety and addiction and everything else. Um, and for a long period of time, I was really curious about whether psychedelics could be part of my future because of my past. And I spent 14 months researching psychedelics. So I spoke to hundreds of different CEOs of psychedelic companies, and I really wanted to do my research. And I had to ask myself some, deep and searching questions. Am I wanting to take a psychedelic to escape reality, or am I wanting to take a psychedelic to truly connect to myself? So I did a lot of work. I did a lot of reading, I did a lot of research, and I asked a lot of questions. And the reason I'm interested comes from a mental health and addiction perspective. And over the years, and again, I've been candid about this, I have suffered from depression. I've previously taken SSRIs and antidepressants. And I wanted to see whether exploring something that has been around and used for thousands of years could help me. And I didn't want the theory, I wanted the reality. And earlier this year, I did go and take psychedelics for the first time. And it was absolutely terrifying. But it was also one of the most profound experiences of my life. And I'm still processing, and I haven't fully integrated that. But from a tangible difference in me perspective, it reset my brain. So I fought those psychedelics at the outset very hard, and it wasn't a straightforward experience at all. And I would say it's not for the faint-hearted. But what I would also say is I've come away from that experience. I'm somebody who, prior to doing psychedelics, would have been at Gaucho's 3 times a week by choice. And now find myself eating a 90% pescatarian diet, probably more than that. And I think I even said to the guy who was running the ceremony, if I come back a vegan, I'm kicking off. And so the reality is it's quite a shift in me. But also what I have found is I've found some more calm in me. I found some more peace. And it's be careful what you wish for, because I'm not that comfortable with more calm or more peace either. And I guess the other thing for me, and this has been something that I continue to see and feel more, is, and this does sound quite hippie, but is nature. So it's not as though I walked around with my eyes closed, but I didn't feel the connection with nature that I now find me feeling. It was incredibly profound. I have not done the integration fully. There's a period of doing that. And I actually start that later this month on quite a concentrated period of time with some real experts who know how to integrate my experience into my everyday life. And then I'm going to go out to Thailand at the end of October, and I'm going to do a couple of weeks of intense kind of healing work. I absolutely don't want to do any more psychedelics. That's not part of my journey for today. I'm definitely not saying that it isn't part of my journey for the future, but for today, I have no interest. And I have no interest because I haven't integrated the learning. So, and that's something that I've learned in me, is I love the learning. I struggle integrating. So there's a conscious decision been made that the integration is absolutely key. At which point, who knows, I may well fancy doing some more. But what I do firmly believe is the evidence that is coming out in this space is something special. In the 60s, these drugs were used recreationally. The war on drugs then stopped a lot of research into this space. I think that's a crying shame. And in the last 25 years, there has been no improvement on services in the mental health space from a drug perspective. I don't think this is a silver bullet. In my opinion, it should be linked to psychotherapy as a combined piece. But I think it's very powerful. I think that the studies and the work that companies like Awaken are doing is literally mind-blowing. And if there are easier ways for people to manage things like addiction and mental health, then we have a duty to research this.